I'll never forget in this building, the mom walked through one of the hallways and I met her and she said, "My son is like Lazarus." And his brother was there. And it was the energy in that room, the spirit was there, and they, I'm sure they've had tumultuous times since, two brothers, right?
Yeah.
But that family had been reunited, and the power of family.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And they're still together, and this young man is extremely successful, has his own business, but he'll tell you that it's not about that. He'll say it's about those moments of connecting with family, with friends. I mean, he's glad that he's doing well, but that's not what it's all about. And I get to see that. And so pretty special.
Welcome to Cal's Corner Ministries. I'm Cal. This is real talk about real life through the lens of faith. No sugarcoating, no pretending, just honest conversations. God's truth and how it actually plays out day to day. If you're trying to walk this out in your life, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Hello again, everyone, and that's Cal here from Cal's Corner Ministries as we're getting set to do another podcast here with Brian Elve from Guiding Light. And Brian, welcome in.
Thanks for having me. Excited to do this.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. I've got to know you here a few years ago, and it's just been a great friendship. We get together more and more now, and I enjoy that. I enjoy our times together, and usually in the morning for breakfast.
Yep, me too.
Yeah.
It's been a good relationship.
Yep, I want to thank Ariel here from Ariel Grace Marketing for making this all possible. So, all right, let's get right after it. Brian, tell me about the early years of Brian Elve.
The early years, well, they're getting farther and farther in my past. So let me think about that for a minute. I grew up on the east side of Grand Rapids in the, I'm trying to think, 70s. And in my mind, had a pretty great growing up. I love sports. You could ride your bike all over. You could walk to school. It was kind of that time of a little more freedom. But one of the things I remember is my grandma on my dad's side, Beth, lived with us a lot of that time in my growing up state. And so Grandma Elve and I had a great relationship, very godly woman, would definitely tell me stories of the Bible, grew up in a Christian home. And so sports, my mom was an English teacher, so I knew I had to read. It wasn't my favorite thing to do. She tried me on piano lessons once, and that didn't last long. But in a lot of ways, a very, very stable and good upbringing.
Gotcha. Where did you go to elementary at? What school system?
I went to Woodcliff in East Grand Rapids. In Woodcliff, I think I went to Breton Downs in 5th grade. So I had a new set of friends just on the other side of East Grand Rapids. And I just remember being a kid that just loved to play. My mom, I would come home and be outside and then come home at dinner and then back outside again. And again, it was just that time where kids could roam the neighborhood and just, whether it was frisbee, basketball, football, baseball, we were playing something. And I don't see as much of that today. I mean, maybe it's going on somewhere, but it was really just a time of connecting with the guys. And it kind of reminds me of just like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I think some of that play as you get older is a little bit harder. You kind of almost have to manufacture it a little bit in your life, but really had a very good upbringing. Went to the Nazarene Church on Kalamazoo Avenue. We had a lot of Kentwood folks with a lot of hockey players at that church. I never was a hockey player, but we went to church Wednesday night, Sunday morning, and Sunday night. And then sometimes we could watch, I think it was Disney after church, or maybe a little bit of a football game after church if we kind of behaved. So, yeah.
Disney was on Sunday nights. I think it was on at 8 o'clock, wasn't it?
That makes sense, because I think church was at 6.
Yeah.
So we probably were hustling home to make sure we saw that.
Yeah, or the football game.
Or the football game.
Or the football game.
Sometimes, so I love to work in the daycare part of the church because I knew where there was a TV. And so I would ask my mom if I could work in daycare, because then sometimes if there was a game on, I could catch a little bit of the game. She probably was on to me, but she never said anything.
Gotcha. Yep. So East Grand Rapids for middle school then?
Yep. East Grand Rapids through the whole thing. And, we East was real competitive with sports, and my freshman, sophomore year, I had some trouble with my knees and had surgery on both of them. So I was kind of not short, probably pretty average, a little chubby. And then I grew like 6 inches in a pretty quick time. And I don't know if that was the problem with my knees, but I had surgery. I couldn't play any sports my sophomore year. And then I had another surgery my junior year.
Oh my.
And then played some basketball my senior year. But our class won the state football my junior year, and I did not play. So I remember coming home. My dad played football at Ferris. I remember coming home as a freshman and saying, "Dad, I'm not playing football next year." And I don't think he talked to me for like 2 weeks. I think he really wanted me to play football. And that was one of those moments I can remember, like being very scared to tell my dad something.
Yep.
And it all worked out. East was a good academic school, a lot of friends, and life just seemed kind of easy. I don't know. We had a ritual at home, the church, the school, sports. It was just like, when I think back, it was pretty comfortable, and life hadn't quite faced some of the challenges that life can bring yet.
And because you had the blessed childhood.
Had a pretty blessed childhood. My grandparents, both of them grew up in Sparta. My mom and dad grew up in Sparta, so we were up in Sparta quite a bit.
Yeah.
Both sides of the family were there, and enjoyed that. And so I would say life was pretty good.
Can I see it? I understand what you're saying. I was very fortunate to be born with an opportunity and grew up in a Christian home, but in some of the teams that, especially one in particular that I spent time with, inner city school, the lack of parents or parenting is very obvious. So I always say, if you have both parents, and they're good people, what a blessing that is. And just definitely jumpstart you to an opportunity, to be successful.
Yeah, one of the things kind of unique, I didn't think of tell you that my mom and dad had me very young. So my dad was extremely active at that point, playing, basketball he worked at Old Camp Bank. He played in the basketball league. He played in it wasn't tackle, like touch football in Grand Rapids. He played baseball. So I was always tagging along. If dad was going somewhere, I was going somewhere. So I kind of had that role model that still had a ton of energy. And I could go with him to all those things. So I kind of was around the men a lot. My sisters are 9 and 11 years younger than me. So I kind of grew up as an only child.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
5 siblings, but my oldest brother's 18 years older.
Oh, wow.
So I go 18, 16, 14, 12.
Oh, wow.
And then the next one was 8, and then me. So
Man.
Much like you had kids a little bit later on in life. My dad was 50 when I was born.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was kind of like a grandparent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had no patience left, which I fully understand now. I get it now. I know you had a great athletic career as a senior at East. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I had an old classmate a couple years ahead of me come in, Jim Boylan, the other day, who was the coach at the Pacers, Indiana Pacers. Hadn't seen him in a while. He was 2 grades ahead of me. And he said, man, we had, high school was fun, the careers. My senior year, I was the best player on the team, but there probably wasn't a ton of difference between me and a couple other ones. I just needed to kind of get my body going. The knees weren't great, and I think I was growing. It was pretty slow, pretty methodical. So I had a good coach in Rick Elbro, and he worked really hard. He knew I loved basketball. He worked really hard on trying to find a way to give me an opportunity to heal and get stronger. So I think I was all conference in high school, but we were a good team. We had good athletes. So a solid senior year, but a few looks from some smaller schools, but I went to a prep school in Virginia called Fork Union. And that, back then, I think they still have it. It's called a postgraduate year.
Okay.
And you can go play or go to school for a year, even though I graduated from high school. You can go down there, and that was the tallest team I've ever played on. I think we had 3 guys over 6'10", and we were all in this postgraduate year for different reasons. And they had a football and a basketball squad that could do this. So Vinny Testaverde went there, Eddie George was there, not at the same time.
Yeah.
And all the guys on my team except 2 went Division I. So we were always playing in front of a college coach, and the best way to get recruited is to play in front of a coach. So,
Yeah.
so I was fortunate enough to get a little stronger, get a little quicker, but I always had to work hard. Not the most athletic, not the best this or best that, but love to compete, love to get kind of dirty and sweaty, and I think that was the thing that maybe attracted some coaches to me.
Where did you land then after that first year?
I went to University of Detroit.
Okay. The old UD.
UD, Livernois and 6 Mile, and that was an awakening. The first grocery store slash, I don't know if you call them party stores, I think it was a grocery store, had these big plexiglass. You put your food in a thing and it turns. I didn't even know how to do it. Like, I just felt a little bit like a fish out of water. Now, my roommate was from UD High, and he made me feel real. Big Catholic family, last name of Brennan, big Irish family, and he made me feel real comfortable. So he would let me eat at their house, and we got to be good friends. And here I am. I worked so hard. My goal was to play Division I basketball, and here I am, Livernois and 6 Mile, like the middle of Detroit. The Pistons are awesome. Hockey team's awesome. I think the Tigers were even awesome. And here I am. My goal is reached. And I'm like, holy cow, these guys are pretty good. And started to question myself a little bit. And I would say that I got exposed to things where I needed to make a good choice. And I wasn't making good choices.
Yeah. What year was that?
That would be, I graduated from high school in 85. So that'd be 86.
86.
86. Yep. We had one kid from Hastings. His name was Mark Brown, but not the Mark Brown that some people.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, not that Mark Brown.
Not that Mark Brown.
Okay.
I know both of them,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen Mark, the other one, in a while. So I'm not sure what he's up to. But
Okay. I think he still holds the MHSAA scoring record.
he could. I've seen him play. He was very good. He has a middle brother that's very good too. That played at Siena.
Okay.
He can play too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talented family.
Okay. So, yeah, decisions to be made when you're at UD, and like many people, sometimes you make the good decisions and sometimes you make decisions that are unfortunate.
Yeah. In my decisions there, I think I took things too lightly. I think maybe it was a little bit soft in kind of thinking I was special. Sometimes athletes do get that extra, pass, and I didn't take school real seriously. I was passing, but probably not in any stellar way. But I remember going to play in St. Louis, and another guy said, "Hey, let's go. I don't know, down to some club or something." And I don't know if I knew what a club was. I'm trying to think. Could I drink legally? Probably not. And we went down there and we missed curfew. And coach just cut us. Two of us. Put us on a plane back to Detroit. Like that next day, I think the team might have been going somewhere else. So within 24 hours, I'm out.
Completely.
The scholarship stayed through that year, but I'm off the team.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was like your first little hiccup with him?
Definitely first hiccup with any type of alcohol. I never was an attitude problem like on a team. So I don't think that played in. I just think he was a new coach, and I don't know, maybe he wanted to set an example. I'm a freshman kid. Maybe they thought I was, I really don't know the whole story. All I know is I was done. And back then there was none of this like portal. Like a lot of times, if you went somewhere else, at least Division I, you had to sit out a year. I hadn't played much that year. So there was no no coaches were knocking on my door.
Yeah, no film, no portal, no NIL, nothing. Yeah.
Yep. And so some junior college coach from Wyoming calls me up and says, "Hey,
The state of Wyoming.
State of Wyoming, right?
Yeah.
State of Wyoming." And a couple other coaches called too, but he did the most work, and he said, "Saw your name on. I guess they must have published something that they were, I don't know, transferring or no longer on the team." And he said, "Hey, we'd love to have you out here in Rock Springs, Wyoming." I think at that time the farthest west I'd ever been was Probably St. Louis. I don't think I traveled much. And I was like, I don't have any idea what I'm getting myself into, but I can still play basketball.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to pay for school. And sign me up. So I didn't know this, but I know this now. I don't know if they still do this. I showed up and there were like 22 guys on the team. So I figured out real quick, this was not a, like, you still had to earn a spot.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty rough go. I mean, it was a pretty physical, luckily I got through it, but that really was an interesting experience. The one thing about being in Rock Springs, Wyoming, though, was the drinking. So my drinking really picked up, and it became a problem.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with that, because I know that's a segment there that, you know, we want to dive into. So tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Cal's Corner Ministries here at the REL Grace Marketing. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Great Men's Ministries, where men come together to hear stories of faith, to be encouraged, and have fellowship. Join us every second Saturday of the month at 7 a.m. at the Grant Depot. All men are welcome.
Hey, welcome back here to Cal's Corner Ministries. We're here with Brian Elve from Guiding Light. And tell you what, Brian, tell us more about your time in Wyoming.
Yeah, I mean, I never been west of the Mississippi that I can remember, and here I am in I think it was I-80 runs through Rock Springs, and maybe 30,000 people, Green River, or maybe it's a couple small towns, but Rock Springs, I think 40,000 people, and they have a junior college there, and played basketball there, but it was just a different way of life. And I guess I would say it was laid back. The people were great. Had a little membership at the local athletic facility. So go to school, play some basketball, and that's when I noticed, like, in my spare time, like, this desire to drink. And I had a roommate that was from Pittsburgh, and he good Italian guy, and he wouldn't say no either. So we became kind of the party guys, and you know, we were still probably the hardest working guys though too. Like at that age, for some reason, you could do your thing, which wasn't so healthy, and then you'd work out and compete and go to school. And I think when I think back, it was reckless, and it in my head somehow I was telling myself that I'm doing all these good things. And maybe some of them were, but this drinking thing, this idea that when I feel uncomfortable, I want to feel different, and the thing I'm going to turn to is alcohol, set me up for a lot of trouble. And that's when it really started to become apparent. Even though if you would have told me that I was an addict, I would have said absolutely not. Because I could stop for certain periods of time. Like I didn't drink much for part of the season.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I had a willpower to beat it.
And during that time, where was your faith journey also?
Pretty absent.
Yeah.
Going back to, I grew up in the Nazarene church, and they were good people. I still go to a Bible study with some of those men that were my dad's age now.
Okay.
But I don't remember feeling comfortable asking too many questions. Now maybe that's on me. But I would say that the God that I knew was an I'm going to get you God. It was a God more about performance, more about you earned something. You had to earn something. And I think I was a little fed up with that. I don't remember actually consciously thinking that. Yeah. But in Wyoming, I went to the Snake River. I went to like some of these mountains that I have never been to, and it was awe-inspiring. So here I have this beautiful, Rock Springs wasn't so beautiful, but there were places in Wyoming that I was going to that I couldn't something else had to make this thing so beautiful.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it was underneath, it was in me. I just wasn't letting it come out, and I was fighting it.
Yeah, and that's Satan fighting that, not letting you, because look where you're at now. But but back then it's totally different, and you're younger. Yeah. You haven't matured. Like middle-aged gentleman has. You just don't have that wisdom at times.
No.
Yeah.
I was not mature.
Yep. So, how'd basketball go? Let's talk about the sport there for a minute.
Yeah, well, I haven't paid much attention to JUCOs now. For some reason, that league we were in, I can't remember what it was actually called. Most of the teams were in Wyoming, so a lot of travel.
Yeah.
But they had some very good players. And I would say almost every team had a couple of guys that were going to play college basketball, so pretty competitive. And I was fortunate to get recruited by Montana State. And actually, University of Montana sent me most of the mail, and at the end, Montana State kind of scooped in and said, we'll offer you a scholarship, which that didn't happen till late. And I really played well, like the last month or so of the season, like really played well. And again, I was always kind of that gritty guy. So, I was going to do whatever I could to win. That was just kind of how I was raised. Sometimes I took that a little too far. But went up to Montana State, and let me just say, in all these places, maybe not UAD so much, but I had some people that, even my high school coach, were always trying to help me. And you don't always know when in the moment, and you look back and you're like, man, there's so many people that have played a hand in me getting to where I'm at. And I had that at Wyoming too. And so I go up to Montana State, and boy, was I excited. They have a dome there. If they'd have built it like 6 yards longer or 6 feet, they could have played football in it. I mean, they would pack this thing. And I had so much fun in Bozeman. Some, when I say fun, not healthy fun, but I took my problems with me to Bozeman.
And all of this, you're telling me that you're human.
Yeah.
You're right, because everybody struggles, it seems like struggles with something. And your problems followed you to Bozeman, the alcohol part of the problem.
Yeah, and when you're doing that behavior, you find others that are doing that too, and that becomes your group. Now, at Montana State, there was a campus crusade, and I got to know the guy that led that at the university.
Yeah.
He's an ex-football player. And so there was always this little, I went to a church there in Bozeman. Brian Hughes was the name of the pastor. I got baptized in Bozeman for a second time. So there were these moments of like, I need to get right. And I think it was all willpower though. It wasn't like a surrender.
Yeah.
It was like, I feel really bad for the stuff I've done, but I don't think I really understood what it meant to like surrender some things. And so there'll be these kind of spiritual things, Jesus things, and then there'll be this drive. And I got tired of it. I just got tired of it. And I finally just said, screw it. Like, what am I, like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So some very good things happen in Bozeman. The people, again, it reminds me of the UP now. I'm up in the UP a little more than I used to be. My wife's family's on Drummond Island, and just good, hardy people, and worked on a ranch. I mean, there were so many cool things that happened in Bozeman.
Yeah. How long were you at Montana State then? Because now you're starting to get a little bit short on eligibility, aren't you?
Got 2 years at Montana State, and then I stayed about another 4. So I was in Bozeman for about 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you do after college?
Well, I did a little mortgage stuff.
Okay.
So I found a mortgage lender, and I worked for them for a while. I worked on a ranch for a while where they made a lot of fun of me. They would tell me to do things that I should know they were teasing, and so I got kind of the brunt of some jokes because I didn't know how to put a saddle on a horse and all that kind of stuff. But I did make a lot of good friendships in Montana, and when I think back, I don't think I was a very good friend. I was good at like, hey, let's go do this thing, but I wasn't fully present. It was all about me. What's going to make me feel good? And if it wasn't alcohol, it could be something else. Like I want to feel good. I want to be entertained. I want to feel good.
Yeah.
And not in a positive way.
Yeah, that high that sometimes you don't always get from life. And you're looking to that high to keep you there. And,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But Montana, again, has this beauty, the Gallatin Valley. I used to go up to Bridger Bowl by myself sometimes. So there was these things I would do sometimes that you can't live by the Rockies and not be in awe of creation. So I felt very, very lucky to be there, very fortunate. But again, I go back to that goal, play Division I basketball. Like, that's my goal. Well, who's Brian? You take basketball away, who's left? So I tried to keep that dream going, and then got involved with Campus Crusade and played for Athletes in Action. This was my next step.
And did you do that out there then? Or
Nope. You the first time I did it, you flew. I think we went to Minnesota or something, and then we went to Greece, and we went to Poland. And then when I came back, they had me try out for they call it the United States team, and that thing was, whew, they had some NBA guys that were in between like 10-day contracts. I mean, these guys were hooping. Yeah. And so I was fortunate to make that team, and then I had a knee injury that kind of wiped me out.
Okay.
So
tell us what type of knee injury, because I know a little bit about those.
Well, right now I have they took my patellar tendon and they put some screws below it, and they put my patellar tendon around it so that my knee would be more, the cartilage was starting, so they're trying to get it tracking different, and I wish they'd have done it to both. Mm-hmm. They did it to one.
My other daughter had a surgery just like that about 10 days ago.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I forget what they call it.
I don't know, but both of her patellar tendons were in the wrong place.
Huh.
So if I remember right, they take it and they drill a hole in the kneecap. Yeah, they go through the kneecap and then put it into your tibia, I think, down here.
Yeah. That's exactly what I had done.
Yeah.
From a doctor in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yep. But that was, man, we're going back to probably 91 or something.
Was it? Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, she just had it done, I think it was Jabara out here, OAM.
Huh?
I'm a big OAM guy for joints and stuff. It's a shameless plug there for Orthopedic Associates of Michigan. But I'm a big OAM guy for that stuff. Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't have, I've got bad knees now, but been pretty fortunate with that. After high school, I didn't know if I'd have a chance. So.
Okay. How did you end up back in West Michigan?
Oh, man.
What's the journey from there to get back here?
So this might show you the level of my maturity. Well, I might stay away from. In Cincinnati, like being on this team, I wasn't drinking. Matter of fact, I didn't really think about drinking. I think it has to do with more of the basketball thing. So I'm going back to like, once I got done with Athletes in Action, I took a sales job. I was based in Cincinnati, and I had like 4 states. So 2 nights at least, if not 3, pretty much 3 weeks out of 4, I was traveling those 4 states. And it wasn't the most exciting sales thing. It was like tier 2 automotive stuff, which I know very little about, but the in-between guy. And that's when my drinking really started to escalate. And it's because I'd have this time on my hands. So my work day, which should have ended, 5, 6 o'clock, was starting to end at 2 o'clock. And I'm fudging expense reports. And, I'm having these existential questions of like, who is Brian? And, it was all ego-based. It was all, why is the world treating me this way? How do I end up selling this stuff? And it wasn't healthy. And so to answer your question, I said, well, what's something I'm good at? And I thought it might be coaching and teaching. So I came up to Grand Rapids to go to Grand Valley, and I got my teaching certificate and started to teach.
Gotcha. How long do you have to go to school for? I mean, because you've been taking classes right along.
Yeah, I graduated from Montana State.
Okay.
I had a bachelor's degree. Yep. I don't know what's going on now, but I think it took me maybe a year, and then my student teaching or something like that, maybe a year and a half in student teaching. So I was refereeing, I was coaching a little bit at Aquinas. I coached at Calvin 1 year at their JV team. So, I was staying busy.
Yeah.
But I thought coming home would help. And really what it did, I'm the problem. And they say wherever you go, you're going to bring the problem with you.
Yeah.
And I brought it with me.
Tell you what, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment. You're listening to Cal's Corner Ministries, and we'll be right back.
What does it look like when someone truly gets a second chance? In Grand Rapids, there's an organization that's been answering that question since 1929. Guiding Light is a faith-based nonprofit on a mission to rescue, restore, and re-engage men and women whose lives have been overtaken by addiction, homelessness, and hopelessness. Through free residential recovery programs, faith-based counseling, life coaching, and job reintegration, Guiding Light works alongside people until they find their footing again. And the best part? It costs participants absolutely nothing. Every program is completely free, funded entirely by donors in our community. The goal is simple: to help people wake up to a new life, back to work, reconnected to a family, restored in faith. Guiding Light. If you believe in second chances, Guiding Light does too. Visit guidinglightworks.org to learn more or to give.
Welcome back here to Cal's Corner Ministries with Brian Elve here at Guiding Light, and kind of journeyed here through your life, the early years, and your trips out west to Wyoming and Montana and Montana State and Bozeman. And but now you've landed back in West Michigan, and I think, and you kind of said your troubles followed you back here to West Michigan.
Yeah, and honestly, right now I'm a little sick to my stomach because this is probably the lowest part of my life. Even though if you'd have met me, you might not have any idea. Got my teaching certificate. My mom and dad let me stay at their place to get that while I went to school, and my life just started getting out of control. And I don't really remember exactly when they kind of figured it out, but there was definitely episodic drinking to the point where I only went to a Michigan football game and ended up in Kalamazoo and don't remember any of it. Calling my parents to come pick me up on a day after a game, and they're like, "What happened?" And I just didn't say anything. I didn't know. A lot of guilt growing up the way I did. No alcohol was in the house. Drinking was a sin. Dancing was, this is going back a ways. Yeah. Nazarene, pretty rule based, and there was this underlying thing of like something is wrong with me, like I'm defective. And at this time, I start teaching, and somehow I'm still kind of managing, things, and they're starting to fall apart. So I was at Burton Elementary School, and then ended up at Union, and I shouldn't have been there. I was not. Matter of fact, I just down the street, took my car to get fixed down the street on Division, and this woman at the desk says, are you Mr. Elve? Yes. She said, you're doing okay? I said, yep. And she said, I remember you were my teacher. And she said, you weren't too good. Where the kids, I think, knew. And it wasn't that I was drunk in the classroom. I'm not saying it never happened. I mean, but they just knew something wasn't right. And I think about that, and it's probably, there's a lot of shame and guilt about not being who I could have been as a teacher, as a coach, as a friend. And one day I have some buddies that are played on the Ottawa Hills state champion team in '67. They befriended me as a young kid in East Grand Rapids. Most of them were Ottawa Hill guys. And I went to one of them. I said, "Hey, I think I might have trouble with drinking." And he one of the guys in that group, he said, "Talk to Dave." And Dave suggested that I go to an AA meeting. And that didn't change my life, but I was exposed to AA at that point. And so again, I had these episodes of drinking, and they started to become longer and worse, meaning some more things started to happen. I started missing my work, not showing up to places when I should, not going home for Christmas. And so ended up in my first treatment in Brighton, Michigan. Ended up there a few times while I was a teacher. So the school was working with me, and I appreciated that. And I thought I wanted to get sober. But really, thinking back, all I wanted was relief. And I think a lot of times that's what we think we want to change, but what we really want is to just feel better. And we don't want to usually do the work to kind of get to the other side or surrender or give things over. And so there's kept being this cycles of drinking, getting some help and drinking, and it got so bad that I lost my job, lost my house, lost my car, and I ended up in a hotel room. Don't remember much of it. I have a friend that's an ex-cop in Grand Rapids, and somehow he knew where I was at. I don't know how. He showed up with his gun because he knew the hotel, and he's like, "Dude, we got to get you out of here." And I don't even really remember it. It was just a little bit. But my point is, I ended up on the doorsteps of Guiding Light.
Imagine that.
Never even heard of it. And it was after a friend died.
Mm-hmm.
He was a teacher in Kentwood, and we were drinking. And I woke up, poured some water on him, and he didn't move. Called the police. This was Wyoming, and I didn't know this, but when someone dies in your company, they look for evidence that it could be you. And he had some bruises on him because when you drink, you bruise a lot easier. And so I stayed in the Wyoming Police Department for a little bit. And then what's the next thing I did is went out and drank more. And that's when I ended up here.
Did you see God in it, any of that? Why, especially the last, that journey, let's say the last 6 months or a year? Could you see him starting to like appear at all or not?
Well, the drinking really started to grab me. So
Yeah.
what I will say is, again, there were some people in my life that wouldn't let me go.
Yeah.
They just, and again, I think there's times in when someone's drinking alcoholically, you need to let them go. I'm not saying I know exactly when that is, but some people kind of didn't and let me go and just kind of stuck in there a little bit. And I can't explain that. Right, I think today, I think that's a God thing,
Yeah.
how that happened. But the person I was with, the person that died that night, he got up and I was under the influence, but I remember him seeing things. He was talking to me about things he was seeing. Now, he was under the influence, but he talked a lot about angels. And he talked a lot about going home. And so there were some scary things he mentioned too. But
Yeah.
he kept saying, I see my mom. And I'll never forget that. In the moment, it didn't change me, but I think I was just so beat up. My ego needed to be humbled. Because during this whole time, I kind of always thought that I would figure a way to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't. It wasn't a problem that Brian could fix. He had to be involved in it, but I think I more or less had to give it over. And I'll never forget sitting in that little chapel out there. One of my first days, I opened an old hymnal, kind of like the old hymnals. And when I opened it up, and I've heard stories about the people opening the Bible and, putting their finger on a verse, but I opened it up and it was "Great is thy faithfulness."
Mm-hmm.
And my grandpa used to hum that. And I had I just started bawling. And can't explain it, but just, I felt like I was home at Guiding Light. And back then, it was a pretty rough joint. There was a lot going on here.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt at home, I felt safe, and I think the process of change started to happen.
When was that? Give us a ballpark, a year, time of year.
This is 2012.
2012.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
How long did you battle the alcohol part before you landed here, as far as this years?
Yeah, well, I was 45.
You were 45.
45.
So it kind of started at 18, 19?
Definitely started young. I was the guy that didn't drink a lot of nights. I didn't drink every weekend, probably even every other. But when I did drink, I wanted more.
Yeah.
So I learned, in AA probably mostly, that it has nothing to do with, my thought used to be you had to drink almost every day to be an alcoholic. From what I understand, that's not the case. It can be once I take that first drink, what happens to me? And for me, if I took that first drink, especially towards the end,
Yeah.
I would fight you, lie to you, steal, whatever I could do. I'd be in your cupboards to find another way to drink.
Yeah.
Luckily, I think that alcohol was my thing. I think it's because I thought I was an athlete. Look at me, I'm drinking every day or drinking a lot. And I didn't do other drugs that are available today, which was probably lucky, because I think if I had done that, I probably would have been off to the races on that. But I met some people here at Guiding Light that I had a sponsor in AA, the pastor at Westminster, a spiritual director, and they didn't know each other, but the things they were saying and what I was thinking and feeling, my heart started to open up. I feel like it just, God was cranking my chest open.
Yeah.
And saying, just open, don't be so afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be so afraid. Big tough guy thinking I'm all this. Take a step.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was asking a lot of questions. I was praying more. One of the most powerful things that happened to me here, I was with Larry Slager, and I told him I said, at the church I grew up in, whoever could pray the longest was the most godly.
Yeah.
And I said, I did not I did not respond to that. Like it didn't seem, and he said, well, how did you pray? I said, I don't think I've prayed really much in years, really. And I told him that I journaled a lot. Like for some reason during this whole time, I journaled.
Really?
And he said, could I look at one of those? And I had one from years ago and showed him, and he said, he read it that week, and I came back and he said, Brian, you've been praying your whole life. These are prayers. And I can remember just breaking down because maybe I never walked away from God the way I thought I did. Maybe I never was. I mean, I think I was a prodigal son in a lot of ways, but in some ways, I think he was with me the whole time.
You ever look back at it now and God's going, maybe, I don't know what God thinks, but God's going, I have plans for you. I'm going to let you run your journey until you can't run no more. And then you're going to come back home.
Well, here I sit, executive director of Guiding Light.
Right, yeah.
And people say, you must have really, done it, or you've really arrived. And I say, something's been done unto me. I didn't do that much. I had to step aside. And again, I'm not perfect at it, trust me.
Yeah.
But I think I had to step aside. And I've had very little, I feel like God's done it to me, with me.
Yeah.
So I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But I have 2 little kids today. I have a wife, and deserve it? Absolutely not. But through the grace of God, here I am.
Yeah, but he uses us in ways that we never seen coming. If you would have told me at 20, I'm going to be doing what I'm doing at 67, that I was going to start Grant Men's Ministries, over 19 years ago, I would have went, there's no way. But I'm here today just because, he said, hey, I got a plan for you. I'm going to have you do this for who knows how long. And, between Grant and White Lake and now Cal's Corner and having Ariel and him creating her in this digital format age, if that's the right terminology. I'm a farmer, right? She can do all this stuff, socially that I can't do. There's social media that I can't do. So he blesses me with her, social media minded, so I just said yes. I keep saying yes, and he just keeps rewarding me with, one blessing after another. So, yeah. But to get back to you, I mean, I don't feel worthy of all this, but I keep saying yes. Because you kind of feel the same way. I don't feel worthy of, now you have this nice, like a better word, title. You're the face of this awesome organization and Guiding Light.
But as a good Dutchman, I didn't hug.
Oh gosh, no.
Man, stay back.
Yeah.
This is my space. It's the whole arm thing, right? And I would see some people hug. And then with this whole opening my heart thing, someone suggested, why don't you start hugging? And I was like, why? I don't like hug. I started to take that step into connection. Yeah. And so I started hugging people. It didn't feel right at first. It was uncomfortable. Yeah. But I was getting something from it.
Yeah.
And it started just slowly. And the alcohol, I didn't drink anymore, but I had to grow up, wake up. There was a lot of work to be done on. That was just the symptom of a deeper issue. And that was, there's a lot going on, but getting clean and sober is about how are you gonna wake up and live your life. You got this one life. How are you gonna live it? Yeah. God's giving you this one life. Yeah. So wake up and live it, and be willing to step into some things that are uncomfortable. Yeah. Being in this position is sometimes I'm like a balance sheet. What? I have to learn, right? Yeah. If you threw me on your farm, I'd look at you and say, "What do you want me to do?" And in this role, a little bit of that's happened where I want to hug these guys. Keep going. Keep at it. Something can change in your life, But
But you're really the perfect person here for that, to be able to hug these new guys that come in, because you can talk. You can talk to them on their level. And look what I have done, but look what I've done. By staying sober, working hard.
I will tell you this. So they were in a class. They chit-chatting on their own without any supervision. I went in there. They got a little different Brian than a hug. They got a little bit of that tougher love too, because sometimes that coach in me still brings out a little bit of that shape up, fellas. But I bring that up to say there's the guys obviously aren't drinking here, right? So there's some things that we want them to do to kind of not just want the relief, but want to have a whole different way to think, be in the world, act. We want them to love their kids. What does that mean? Well, it means showing up, right? Like you were saying, you showed up for your daughters. Like show up for stuff, right? Not drunk.
Right. Yeah. I've always said, you know, the guys who work for me on the farm, I'd always tell them, you got to put your family first. You know, and so I would tell them, if your kids have a sporting event, if you have something going on, let me know. Tell me ahead of time. Don't tell me 5 minutes. I got to leave in 5 minutes. Wow. Well, I'd like to know that 20, you know, 6 hours ago.
Right.
But communication is key, you know, and so many times. So, you know, you talk about hugging other guys, you know, and like I seen you last week when we gave each other a hug, you want to freak somebody out, Spanish guy. Because Spanish they're oriented, they're family. But for a guy, a white guy, and I did this all the time with my Spanish guys, because I mean they were my family. I worked with them so much.
Oh, on the farm.
Yeah, on the farm. You spend 8-10 hours a day. 10 hours a day was nothing. You know, so these core key of Spanish guys, you give them a hug and say, you know, hey man, I love you, and they're like, you're crazy gringo. And they told me that so many times. You know, hey, crazy gringo. And I was like, no, I love you, man. And there's just, but that in that culture, man to man, that's just foreign.
But you do some things, you actually do, you don't just say it. You send me a note and say, I love you on the note, don't you?
Yeah.
You say, you know, keep it up, encouragement. Like you got a gift for that, right? Some people have to learn it. And I don't know if yours is innate or if you learned it through your experience with God, but like for me, I got to learn some of these things. That means I got to take an action step.
Yeah. I think, you know, I didn't get a lot of encouragement when I was younger. So I think that's where that comes from. You know, I got a buddy who's really successful football coach, like unbelievable high school coach, and grew up in an inner city, now coaches at an inner city school. And you think probably 7-8 years ago, I just sent him a text. You know, he had won another one of his umpteen awards, you know. And I just said, hey, I'm proud of you. And he texted back and goes, I'm 51 years old. And that's the first time somebody's told me that.
Wow. Wow, that's too bad.
And I'm like, what? Tell us a little bit more of your journey after you arrived here and before you became I wanted to say the commissioner, the director here at Guiding Light. Yeah, that in between time.
Yeah, well, Stuart Ray was here as the executive director. Some people know me as kind of the Burger King guy. Yeah. And then he was running the show here, and he was big on if you can work, or if you have the ability to work, get to work. And some of this heart side stuff, you know, he wanted to not just be an emergency shelter. He was like, those people that can work, we need to get them to work. And Guiding Light's always had some form of an addiction program. And when I was here, we did a lot of the kind of, I wasn't one doing the work around the building, security, kitchen, and kind of helping out. And over time, when I finished the program, I came to Stuart in this office. And I said, I might not get this all correct, but I said something like, he had let me have a hip surgery here, so I had a hip replacement done here.
Oh, wow.
And I hobbled in here and I said, either you're going to put my name above one of the rooms and I'm going to stay in there for the rest of my life, or you can give me a job, or you can kick me out. Those are your three options. And I knew he was looking for someone to help guys get work. So, and I knew with my school background my teaching background, that I could probably do resumes for guys and things like that. So he hired me, and he laughed about it. So he hired me. My office was right across the hall. And I'll never forget, not long ago, I asked him like why he put me by him. And I thought it was because, you know, he wanted me close to him. He said, I didn't know if you were going to show up. I want to know if you were going to show up. Here I'm thinking like he wanted me to be close to him, right? And he said, wasn't sure if you're going to show up. So it started there, and then I came to him and I said, listen, if you want to have an addiction recovery program, you're not keeping guys sober. Like, it's not working. And introduced him to some people in town that were businessmen, successful businessmen that were in AA. And we started adopting some AA stuff here as far as men having sponsors and being able to be a part of AA. That helped. And then eventually he just said, do you want to run the program? And yeah, I was very surprised too. It kind of happened gradually, but We had some spiritual directors and slowly brought in some programming that I thought would be helpful. Remember that teaching background helped, and the coaching stuff helped, I think, being an athlete. And so then we let guys go to Iron House, which is our transitional housing. That really helped because people didn't have any place to go after they finished the program. A lot of them didn't have any housing. And now we have 6 of those. We can hold over 40 men post being here at Guiding Life for about 4 to 6 months. Like right now, we got 36 men living outside of this building, and we got about 15 women. So there's a lot going on outside of 255. But to get to this role, I remember interviewing for this and talking to some people that I knew, and they just said, kind of give them their vision. And I said, if I was to get this job, I would start a women's recovery program because it's needed. I've gotten those phone calls, you're helping men, but why aren't you helping women? And I said, if you don't want to open a women's program, I'm probably not your guy. And they ended up hiring me. So we've started that women's program. It's been about 2 years now. And sometimes I come in and I'm not sure if I feel like I'm coming to Guiding Light as a program participant, because I had so much history here, or executive director. I'm probably somewhere in the middle, but the ride has been this building, these people here. Obviously, it means a lot to me. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's transition over to your family. Tell me about your family, your wife, your kids.
Yeah, well, my wife and I met in this building, and she worked for another nonprofit, and I never anticipated anything romantic, and then, we became friends, and the next thing you know, I asked her out on a date, and I was the scariest thing I ever did, because I wasn't under the influence. It was really neat. I happened to ask this pretty young woman, and she said, are you talking about a date? And I go, I think so. And I didn't want to lose the friendship.
Right, yeah.
I didn't want to, I felt like I was going to lose the friend, so I was very scared. And I still honestly cannot believe I married up.
I get it.
Honestly, it right now I'm getting a little emotional because very blessed. Very blessed.
Yep.
2 kids. Yeah. Neither one of us thought that was going to be on our list, and Josephine will be in the next month. Josephine will be 8, and Max will be 6. And last night, Max and he ended up getting in bed, and I wake up and he's, right next to me on my shoulder. Yeah. And you know how that is. It's just, talk about feeling the love of God that has for us. Yeah. That you feel in those kids. You get a glimpse maybe of how God looks at us. And, I'm sober. I get to experience life as God made me. And what a blessing. And I don't always, not every moment is like that. I try to see things differently today. But I'm not doing it under the influence of alcohol. Yeah. And that makes a big difference.
Yep. One of my favorite stories to tell, and I'll tell it quick. My 2 granddaughters at that point were 5 and 3. They're now 10 and 7. Our oldest granddaughter was playing travel soccer, so we were at one of her games. And it was a Sunday afternoon, at 1 o'clock. And we arrived there. And I'm walking across the field. My wife's behind me, so I'm first. I think she stopped to use the restroom. And my 2 little granddaughters, 5 and 3, and they see me and they just come running like this, Grandpa, Grandpa, Grandpa. And I got down on both knees. I thought, this is going to hurt getting up, but I didn't care. And I just scooped both of them up and just got the biggest hug. Of course, then they see Grandma. So now they're on the way to her. And I walked up to our oldest daughter, Ashton, and I went, nothing in my life tops that. And I've been very fortunate farming to have won a lot of really cool awards and accolades. And I said, you can go in the Hall of Fame, you can win this award and that award and stand in front of 400 to 500 people and accept these awards. And she says, you've done all this. And I said, yeah, and nothing compares. And I compared to Jesus. Being able to, come here. Now I know he's going to hand me a Snickers bar because he's going to say we're not going anywhere for a while.
I think I told you I'm a Kit Kat guy.
Yeah, right, Kit Kat guy, yeah. And I guess that's my story, but that I love to tell.
If you're not seeing through those eyes, it happens and you don't see it. Yeah. You're not aware of it. And so I'm trying to be more aware of it, of those moments. And they happen all the time. They happen all the time here. Miracles happen.
Miracles happen.
Miracles. And I'm one of them. And I'm not saying that boastfully. Like the way there's a very good chance I'm not going to drink tonight. A very good chance I'll hug my wife and kiss my kids,
Yeah.
Trying to live life different.
Isn't it crazy how God just takes us and we have this journey, this roadmap, and we think it may be straight, but man, there's a lot of, my buddy Chad says for every mile of road, there's 2 miles of ditch,
Yeah.
And yeah. Yep. As we kind of wrap up, 2 questions, and we'll wrap this. 3 questions. See, it's my daughter. First one, favorite book of the Bible. What is it? You got any idea?
My favorite. Well, Romans has always been the most challenging for me.
Yeah.
So, Romans, I think of Romans and,
Yep.
and all that Paul wrote in there is probably my favorite book, but yeah.
Hobbies.
Man, I haven't picked up a basketball in a long time.
Okay.
My wife says, I've never seen you pick up a basketball. I would say, this time of year I'm out biking. I like to bike off-road. We're on a little trail nearby the house.
Favorite verse or verses?
Yes, I'm going to throw 2 at you. So one of my favorites is, Lord, I believe, though help my unbelief. Because I've had so many periods where either my faith didn't match my behavior or I just had doubts. And, I feel like that verse helps me to feel human and that I need to be restored by a power greater than myself, by God, by Jesus. So yes, one of my favorites. The other one is, be still and know that I am God. Just to sit in the presence of God is there and just let it be there. Let me experience that by being still.
Great verses. Dream job.
I'm living it. You know the answer to that. Are you kidding me?
All right.
The place that saved my life, like, can you, I mean, come on. I'm here. I'm
Great
doing
answer. Great answer. Final question, then we'll wrap this up.
All right.
Is there anything else that you want to mention that we didn't talk about?
Well, I just got to tell a quick story. We had a guy come to us from jail. So he got out of jail, he served his jail sentence, and let's just say that I'm always a little wondering what's going on there. So he's in jail for like 6 months, maybe 9 months. Like, usually guys don't come to us after jail unless they're running from something or they're worried about getting caught with something. So this kid was like 22, 23, and from day one when he came to Guiding Light, I was watching him a little closer than the other guys, and this guy had a lot of energy. He was an active young man, but he stuck in there and he ended up working for us here for a bit. And there was a time where his mom showed up. His brother played football up at Ferris, and his brother was younger. And his brother looked up to him, and they had grown apart because of the way this kid treated their mom. I don't know if treated their mom, but just kind of like was doing things that getting himself in trouble. And I'll never forget, in this building, the mom walked through one of the hallways and I met her, and she said, my son is like Lazarus. And his brother was there. And it was the energy in that room, the spirit was there, and they, I'm sure they've had tumultuous times since, 2 brothers, right?
Yeah.
But that family had been reunited, and the power of family.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And they're still together, and this young man is extremely successful, has his own business, but he'll tell you that it's not about that. He'll say it's about those moments of connecting with family, with friends. I mean, he's glad that he's doing well, but that's not what it's all about. And I get to see that. And so pretty special.
Awesome. So, well, as we wrap this up, first of all, thank you. You knocked this right out of the park.
I did?
Yeah, you just went 10 for 10 from behind the arc. We're gonna and 10 boards and 10 assists. You got a triple double.
I didn't like to pass once I got it, so.
Okay, that works. And yeah, but no, Brian, I tell you what, thanks for just taking the time today on a weekday to just sit down with Ariel and I, and great job.
Thank you.
This has been so much fun, as I thought it would be.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, so I tell you what, once again, thank you to Ariel with Ariel Grace Marketing. And if you have any questions on the many things that she does, just get a hold of her and she might be able to help you out. And once again, I'm Cal here from Cal's Corner Ministries, wrapping this one up. And once again, thanks, Brian. And hey, have a blessed day. Take care.